Good morning, everyone. It's weird to be up here speaking about a topic that I've avoided even thinking about for the majority of my time here at St. Paul's. If someone had told Year 9 Toby that he would be up here now, giving a speech on Pride Week, he would have said something like, firstly, I'm not gay. And secondly, Pride Week is so controversial. Why would I want to put myself in a position where I'm advocating for a cause that is often laughed at and swept under the rug almost every year? And I still very much agree with the second point. This topic is very hard to talk about, especially to a diverse school full of different views, values, and ideas. But that's the reason why I am speaking today, to talk about a topic which is pretty neglected due to how controversial it's made and hugely opposed people can be towards it. A huge part of this week is about being yourself, living your life to the rules and regulations you want to, and not changing or abiding by anyone else's idea of who you should be. It's a very easy thing to say, be yourself. Don't care what other people think. It's drilled into us constantly, especially as teenagers, and we're all expected to suddenly oppose a crowd and oppose everyone around us. But as we all know, it's never that simple or easy. As humans, we're hardwired to blend in, and we seek belonging anywhere we can find it. This is an issue I've faced ever since starting here as a Year 9. Right from the start, I stood out from everyone else around me. Going from Topo Intermediate to here, the culture around me completely shifted, and where I was once just Toby, I now had labels and stereotypes carved into my idea of who I was, and they lingered in the back of my mind, in everything I did. I was called gay before I even knew what the word meant. I was just like many of you current Year 9s now, trying to adjust to the boarding life and fit in with the boys around me. I wasn't thinking at all about who I was attracted to or what a conventional relationship was meant to look like. But I quickly realized why I was seen as gay by the people around me. My voice, a bit too high. My walk, too fast and strutty. My interests and hobbies, too feminine. I was fine with this though. To me it didn't really matter because I thought I would just grow out of it. It's what I was told all of my life. Anything you don't like about yourself, you'll simply grow out of. And for the most part, this was true, and I did grow out of it. The Clark Year 13s can probably agree I was a lot more insufferable 4 years ago. But some things stayed, specifically the differences between me and my other male peers. Once I got a bit older and began to realize I wasn't straight, these things became my biggest insecurities. Every word I spoke, every step I took, everything I did was hyper-focused to seem as straight as possible. But knowing you're different and that no matter what you do, you'll never blend in with the guys around you was a realization I wasn't ready to accept. I hated myself for who I was, and I hated the idea of the person I was turning into. Like many of you, I always imagined a traditional life for myself. Good career, lots of guy friends to go on adventures with, a nice home in some copy-paste suburb around New Zealand, and of course, a wife and family. Who I wanted to be and what I imagined for my life crumbled around me as I continued day to day, hoping that this too, I would just grow out of. The worst part was how it affected me socially. The conversations about me on the table across at dinner, which I pretended not to hear. The whispers of the F slur as I walked past a group of older boys. The pressure to just come out because everyone already knew. The way people who used to be my friends started avoiding me. Every little thing added up, and I was so conflicted mentally that I completely isolated myself from everyone around me. I didn't want to be seen or heard or known in any capacity because I was so deeply ashamed of myself and felt like my very presence was disgusting to everyone around me. It sounds stupid and cliche to say, but it's true. My self-esteem got to a point where I really believed I wasn't worth space or time. And it wasn't just the external criticisms either. They only seek to amplify what was already there. I knew that I wasn't normal. I knew that being in a mostly girls friend group was kind of weird. I knew that the sound of my voice genuinely pissed some people off sometimes. I knew that liking Lana Del Rey maybe wasn't the standard for most guys. I knew that my old hockey coach, who isn't here anymore, made me a bench warmer not because I sucked, which I kind of did, but because he just didn't like me. And I knew that his actions weren't the first, and they also wouldn't be the last. To a degree, self-awareness like this is a good thing. It allows you to nitpick the difference between what you should actually change and what you should boil down to their problem. But here's the thing. Like I said before, I wasn't able to make that defining line between the judgments I should actually listen to and just blatant criticism. And thus, everything turned into something that was wrong with me. Whether I could fix it or not, I didn't care. The point was that I was not good enough. How I viewed myself spiraled out of control into a 2-year-long depression, where, as I said before, I avoided social interactions like they were the plague. That kind of self-loathing never really goes away, and I still wake up every day wishing I could just be like everyone else, wishing I didn't have to carry around this huge liability. But once I stopped trying to please the unpleasable and perform for the people who broke me down over and over, things got better. The voices around me a little quieter, the disgusted looks across the class a little lighter, and the things said behind closed doors a little less important. But, of course, there's no cheat code to getting better. As you heard on Pink Shirt Day, it's always some kind of uphill battle where you have to accept your faults and improve on what you can. I'm not going to stand here and tell you all that things get better eventually, because as much as I would love it to be true, pure time won't heal anything. It's all a mindset thing. Once you believe in yourself and who you are, gradually everyone else will too. For me, I began taking small steps to oppose my own beliefs of who I should be and break out of a box which I deep down knew I could never fit into. Building your sense of identity from the ground up isn't easy at all, but for myself, this was a necessary step to take in ensuring that I was growing and rebuilding. And like last Friday's resilience message, it doesn't matter how hard you get hit, so long as you always strive to push forward. As you probably know, getting better from a rough patch looks different for everyone, but what matters is that eventually you shift to a mindset where outside perspectives mean less than your own self-image. But like everyone, I'm still self-conscious, and I still care what people think. But I've learnt that when outside standards define who you are a bit too much, you lose little pieces of yourself. Every time you change outfits at the last second because it's too out there, and every time you agree with what someone says purely because everyone else does, it strips down your identity and taints your self-image. While these challenges heavily impacted me and the person I am right now, in reality, I've been on easy mode. I grew up with a loving family and parents who I can never disappoint, influenced by friends who always wanted the best for me. And most importantly, I live in a safe country. The red and orange countries on this map account for 6 to 7 billion people. The vast majority of the world is so much worse. People living under these regimes are imprisoned, tortured, and massacred for the sin of loving who they love. Oftentimes, these horrific acts are either ignored, supported, or sponsored by the various governments. That's tens of millions of people who are fearing for their lives every day because of something they can't and never will be able to change. This shouldn't be a controversial topic at all. Whether or not you believe in pride and the values it holds, people do not deserve to die for being who they are. And there's a big difference between support and respect. I'm not going to stand here and tell you that you all need to support pride, because that's unrealistic and not what actually matters. The people cheering you on from the sidelines definitely helps, don't get me wrong, but the defining factor in a fight is always how strong the opponent is. So what I am saying, though, is that you don't lose anything from treating people decently, no matter how different they are to you. LGBTQ+ related hate crimes have begun to skyrocket again since the 2020 lockdowns, so this message is more important now than it ever has been in the 21st century, because this is only becoming more and more common. And for those of you here thinking that this is all an overseas problem, it's not. To those sitting here right now thinking something along the lines of, why do we even need Pride Week? New Zealand is woke enough as it is. Or, it's not like I'm going to kill someone, this doesn't apply to me. I've thought the exact same thing for 4 years in a row. But here's the truth. We have a problem. At this school, in this country, and all across the world. So here's a proposition for you. Do you think this would have taken place if everyone around had responded humanely and ethically? Would this horrific headline have still ended up a reality? I don't know about you, but it's pretty clear to me that a touch of sympathy and basic human empathy could have saved these people a beating. It's all about the culture. Your words can literally kill people. Whether it's a burst of laughter, a slur, a comment, a look, or even just doing nothing. That's what makes horror stories like this a reality. I'll be forever grateful to the Clark Year 13s who made a conscious effort to not do stuff like this and not perpetuate this hate, which leads to so much violence across the world every day. The difference is really made when we treat everyone with empathy, no matter how different they are to us. We've all heard this speech time and time again, empathy and kindness and respect and whatnot, so I'm not going to dwell on it too much, but I assure you, the difference it can make to someone else's life can be immeasurable. As a crowd, we all have the power to dictate whether or not those around us suffer or thrive in the St. Paul's environment. So don't throw those backhanded comments away like it's free speech, because chances are that's the third, fourth, fifth, maybe even 100th time someone's been told that exact same thing today. The culture that promotes using the F slur, which glorifies burning people at the stake and allows them to be marginalized today, is the same culture which resulted in all of these horrific demonstrations of utmost brutality and inhumane action. And this is exactly why we need Pride Week. It's not about the drag queens or the rainbow makeup. It's about calling out and condemning the culture which promotes so much hate and so much violence across the world. Yeah, it may be triggering when Apple makes their logo rainbow for a few days. And yeah, you might be mad that Pride events and parades take up our public spaces for some hours. But this week is about so much more than that, to so many people who have to live with being gay or trans every day of their lives. A lesbian sitting across from you in a library may be uncomfortable for you, but that is her entire life. She doesn't get to walk out and just forget what you said or did. So today, I'm standing here to speak for the millions of others who have been and continue to be silenced and persecuted for who they are. And I'm asking you to all treat everyone just that little bit kinder. It doesn't take much to not laugh at the gay guy walking past, but for him, that could have been his breaking point. I'm going to finish with a final quote, which is as follows. The test of courage comes when we are in the minority, and the test of tolerance comes when we are in the majority. Thank you.